Beautiful princess, once upon a time there used to be a king who ruled over a faraway country. He was very kind and therefore his subjects were very happy with him. The king and queen were often sad because they had no children. Finally, after a lot of prayers, God gave the queen a very beautiful daughter. The king organized a huge celebration in the whole country on the birth of his princess and invited all the people of the country. Some fairies also invited in his country. The king also invited these seven fairies. On the day of the feast, there were eight fairies instead of seven. In fact, there was a very old fairy that no one had seen for many days, so everyone thought that she was dead. That's why the king did not invite her. When all the people gave gifts to the princess, a fairy came forward and gave the princess a gift of flakes. The other said, I offer him the gift of honesty. The other said, I offered her the gift of honesty. And that fairy spoke a gift of splendor from the princess. A gift of splendor from me to the princess. The fourth fairy gave the princess a beautiful flower on her. The fifth fairy gave a beautiful voice, while the sixth fairy presented a gift of magic. Before her, there the old fairy who was giving the gift of seventh fairy went forward in a state of anger and said that the princess would lose her grace and she would die. Hearing this, the king and queen began to weep, and all the subjects became sad. After a while, the seventh fairy came forward and said, This is a gift from me that the princess will not die but will sleep deeply for 100 years, and after 100 years, a handsome prince will wake up her. The king removed all grazing from his country so that the princess can be sad. Years passed by until the princess turned 16. On the day the princess' 16th birthday celebration was in full swing when princess went for a picnic on the roof of her place, where she saw a very woman spinning a wheel. The princess, as she had never seen the spinning wheel, was startled. The old lady said, Daughter, come here. Take this, try it yourself. Hearing this, the princess went to the old woman, and as soon as she touched the grapes, the spindle hit the princess figure, and she slept deeply. When the king and queen came to know about this accident, they were very worried. The queen said, "Then, should we do now without our daughter?" The king laid the princess uncomfortable bed in her bedroom. Meanwhile, when seventh fairy came to know that the princess was married to the Susal, she began to think that when the prince wakes up from her sleep, no one will know her. Thinking this, the bewitched the entire place. Due to this spell, all living beings in the place fell asleep. Even the prince's pet dog, which was sitting at the door of the bedroom, also fell asleep there. King, through the magic, built a high walls around the place and planted tall trees and weeds along these walls so that no one could enter the place. One day, the prince of neighbor country came to his side while playing hunting. When he saw the place, he asked whose place it was. It is magic place inside which a princess lives for 100 years. Anyone who tries to enter it is there, does not come back alive. The prince said, "I will definitely go to the place and try to know its secret." Even the many persuasion of people had no effect on the prince, and he walked forward the place. Approaching the place, as soon as prince stretched out his hand to the make branches of the trees and veins, they automatically removed and gave way to the prince. Prince was very surprised. And prince found his way. The prince was to see this. Walking the prince reached the gate of the place. He had just placed his hand on the door when the door opened automatically and prince entered through the door. The prince had just finished speaking and a loud explosion started blowing in the air, and the prince opened her eyes with a sigh And at same the time, the sleeping creature in the place woke up because now the effect of magic was over. The king and queen were overjoyed to see their daughter, and they all celebrated the prince's 16th birthday because even though 100 years had passed, everyone was the same age as they were before went to sleep. The prince and princess live happily. After a few days, both of them got married with fanfare, and the prince took his princess and left for his country, where both of them started to live happily.